Welcome to the Defining Moments Black Men series of the Authentic Joe Show. I'm Jolena Johnson, your host, and it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome today's guest, Mr. Eric Harper Sr. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jolena. How are you today?
I'm great. It's so good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, can you tell us a little about yourself, your occupation, and your background?
Sure. My name is Eric Harper. I live here in St. Louis. Pretty much raised here, but not born here. I was born in Fort Hood, Texas, to a military family. So we bounced around quite a bit, which is one of the things that kind of makes me who I am with the diversity. But I own custom image window tinting in St. Louis, Missouri. I've had this business, this entity for about 4 years now, but we've been in the St. Louis area under other names for the last 30 years here. So yeah, definitely. I'm into the community with things and just love talking to people. So here I am.
Okay, thank you. Yes, and
Thank
and I
you.
did get as soon as I got my new car, I made my way right over to your shop. He does a great job.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a pleasure doing work for you.
Thank you. So, how would you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as a go-getter. I get out there and get after it. If I see something that interests me, I definitely do my research. I try to learn as much as I can about it, and I've just always been that type of person. So I'm kind of a hands-on, easygoing guy. So
Hmm. Okay. And if you had to pick a phrase that would be the theme for your life, what would that be?
wow, phrase for the theme of my life. I would say, ooh, high risk, high reward.
Ooh, okay.
High
I like
risk, high
that
reward.
one.
Definitely.
Can you
Definitely.
explain that a little?
Yes, I can. It goes into this whole series here. As a child, you have ambitions, dreams, things you want to accomplish in life, but every now and then life takes that twist on you and
Mhm.
things get mixed up, kind of get lost in the world and you don't know what you want to do. Well, in my situation, I chose to start a business when I was 20 years old, and it was really scary. I was a new father, uh, recently married, and I just took that high risk and didn't know what the reward was going to be, but ambition, that was my thing. Ambition, to raise that child and to provide for my family. And man, high risk netted a high reward for me. It's been beautiful to me the last 30 years. So
Oh, that
definitely,
is fantastic.
God has
I love
definitely
it.
blessed me. Yes, yes, it's been a
Okay.
blessing.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Oh, you're
Okay.
welcome.
So people may say, well, what is a defining moment? So let me share. A
Mhm.
defining moment is a point in life when a pivotal decision must be made or when an experience fundamentally changes a person. What defining moment would you be willing to share with us today?
Okay, my fundamental experience that changed me led to my defining moment. So
Okay.
the fundamental experience was the birth of my son
Okay.
because I was 20 years old, like I said, I was kind of lost out in the world, doing things that your parents may not be proud of. But when my son was born, it gave me that direction, that responsibility. I wanted to be a great dad. That was my whole thing, to be a great dad. I
Mhm.
wanted my son to grow up with a father that was in his life and could give him guidance, and we could grow up and trust one another. And even now, he'll be 32 this year. We talk like like the best of friends. He
Mhm.
shares things with me. I share things with him, and that's what I always wanted. And out of my children, out of all my children. So
Mhm.
that's what led to that moment. And then that fundamental change led to the pivotal moment, which was starting that business because I was working with a trucking company and I wasn't really happy there, but I was always a car guy. I loved cars from
Mhm.
toddler. So me and a friend of mine that I had met working for another shop, we just decided one day, he was 23, I believe, I was 20, and we just decided, take our skills, get a little shop, see what we could do with it, and it just turned into this amazing ride that we've been on for the last 30 years. So definitely a pivotal moment that changed my life and my direction. I didn't see myself doing this for this long, but
Mhm.
man, when I tell you I don't work, it's kind of an oxymoron because you do something you love, but you end up working 80 hours a week, 70 hours a week. But it's like your child, you raise your child to be what the best that he can be. So in your
Mhm.
business, you raise that business to its utmost potential. And that's what
Mhm.
guided me all these years. I've always been a good speaker with people. So I can
Mhm.
kind of chameleon my way through life where I can blend into different situations. And
Mhm.
that's key in when you're dealing with the public is you have to be able to relate and associate with different types of people from all walks of life. You can't delineate, you can't prejudice against certain people. It's just
Mhm.
business. And our business turned into the point where we've got so many customers that have become friends, over time. And
Mhm.
their children come to us. It's so crazy. But yeah, we've developed those relationships over the years, and we've had a great impact in our little community in the area that we're in. We're in North St. Louis, and
Mhm.
we offer training to other kids if they're interested in doing this business, because everybody's not meant to go to college. Everybody doesn't have an interest in going to college, and
Mhm.
trades are becoming more and more respectable among the community because there's so many things you can do: electrician, plumbing, um,
Mhm.
car mechanic, anything. And we're basically a custom shop. So we do the pimp my ride type of stuff to make the car
Oh.
look good.
Mhm.
So everybody always wants that when they get that new car, they want that window tint, they want those wheels and tires, and
Mhm.
those accessories that personalize the vehicle. And that's where
Mhm.
our name custom image comes from. We take pride in giving you that image that you're looking for, and
Mhm.
we stay knowledgeable in the field. We do our research on new products. We go to trade shows. We do everything to bring the final end result to the customer. So over time, it's built great relationships for us. And I literally love what I do. I really do.
I
So
can
I'm glad
tell.
it worked out. I'm glad it worked out.
See, I needed to have a bigger vision than just tinted windows then. I see I'm stopping short on your services.
Yeah, we used to do a lot of accessories. We've kind of toned it down now to the window tinting, but we do residential window tinting for houses. We do
Oh.
commercial window tinting for businesses. We do automotive window tinting. We offer clear bra as a subcontracted item. We tried to get into the wraps, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. But it's a
Okay.
future item. So ambition again,
Yes, I
ambition.
love
So
it.
it
Well,
never stops growing.
let me go back to a couple of things. I do have some
Sure,
questions. So you
sure.
said you mentor people or you give people, what did you say about jobs and
We've literally trained people in order to help them because we get a lot of young children, or not children, but kids, 16, 18. And
Mhm.
they see us do what we do, and they're like, oh, that's not too hard to do. And we're like, well, it's a craft. You have to learn it. So there
Okay.
have been people that we've literally hired over the years, and we've trained them to do the window tinting aspect of it for automotive. And
Mhm.
literally, once you learn that skill and you're good at it, you can
Mhm.
six-figure income your way through life. But you have to be a go-getter. You can't sit around and wait for it to come to you. You have to market yourself. You have to
Mhm.
put in the hours. You have to put in the work. And we stress that to people also. And that's
Okay.
a future goal of mine is to like open a tinting school actually, because there's a couple in the country. But in the next 18 months, that's where I'm trying to head to. I'm getting a little older in the beard here, so
Yes.
it's time to look in game for me and pass that shop on to the kid. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, that is, I just got tingles. I love it. Training, that's my thing. So,
Yeah,
oh my God, that is
yeah.
fantastic, Eric.
And
Okay.
a lot of our former guys that have worked with us have gone on to start their own businesses, their own
Mhm.
shops and things.
Mhm.
Some people use it as a hustle. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But
Mhm.
you can legitimize it and do great with it because the cost to get into something like this is low, but
Mhm.
the payback is great on it. So, like I say,
Okay.
high risk, high reward. You just have to walk off that ledge sometime and trust in God. So
Okay.
if you're willing to do it, it's gonna happen for you.
Okay, so my next question, you keep
Sure.
saying we. So have you been
Yes.
in business? This is perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the time it's I. So
Uh-huh.
have you been with this same partner the same for the whole time, or have you guys like you have your what he's doing and tell us
Yeah.
about partnership.
Well, we started, Michael Thiessen is his name, and we started as a partnership with our very first company. It's called 10 Shop Plus up on the corner of Hallsbury and Chambers.
Yes.
Man, we started with nothing and we built that thing up. We really did. We had, celebrity clientele. We were doing Ram players, blues, some of the rappers here. But between me and him, and then we hired a couple of our friends to work with us, and that place just became a community hangout. It really did. We would stay open till 10 at night playing Madden tournaments there with customers that have gotten good with us. So it was fun. But then the housing market bust in around 2009, something like that.
Mhm.
The economy got really bad. So
Right.
we ended up going our separate ways.
Okay.
We went to work for other companies, and I actually started subcontracting under my new company, Custom Image Window Tinting. Did that
Okay.
solo there.
Okay.
So eventually, I ended up bringing him back into the fold, and now he works for me as a subcontractor. But man, our partnership goes way back. We know each other like I don't even know how to explain it, but
Okay.
he's a great guy. He's a people person like I am.
Mhm.
And we just, between the two of us, man, we just get after it and make it happen. And then there's other people that work with us as well. But Mike is my main guy. He's been with me this whole time in some sort or another, one fashion or another. So,
Okay, that's
yeah.
fantastic. Okay, so can you tell us? I mean, I know what's happened with you. Can you tell us what are three elements of a good partnership? So if someone said, you know what, I want to do something, I want to go into business. What are three things that whether they're characteristics,
Mhm.
elements, practices that somebody needs to keep in mind if they're going to choose a partner?
Okay, if you're going to choose a partnership over going solo, I would say your number one aspect that you need to be sure is there is trust. You have to have the trust.
Mhm,
Without the trust, you have no business because
mhm,
things will fall apart quickly on you.
mhm,
Second thing I would say, let's say a young man was coming to me and asking my opinion on, he wants to get into a business, whether it be my business or another business that he's just interested in, but he's afraid to take that jump. My
mhm,
first thing that I would tell him would be to believe in himself. If you have an ambition and a passion for something, chase it. Because the
mhm.
worst that can happen is you fail, you start over, or you go back to doing what you did previously. But you never know if you don't try. So
Okay.
you have to, like I said earlier, step off that ledge and let God lead you to what's supposed to be yours. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
And
mhm,
a lot of people have ambitions of being self-employed. It's
mhm,
it's great to me because it allows me to travel, which is one of my passions. But
mhm,
people want to do it, but some people are afraid to do it, especially when you get a little older. It's you become set in your ways and you're at a job that you've been at for years. But
mhm,
I'm an encourager. I always have been. And I tell
mhm,
people, even if you have to keep the job that you're in and take that chance on another one, do
mhm,
it because you never know where that thing can lead you. And my story has been one of a total blessing that I never saw coming. And
mhm,
it's hard on my wife sometimes because I work long hours and
mhm,
things, but she understands and she's my biggest cheerleader out there. So she supports the business, supports me, and that just gives me more passion to do what I do,
mhm.
make it happen.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely.
Okay, so if somebody does want to go into business, so this is not necessarily partnership, but
Mhm.
what do they need to keep in mind? So like you said, trust is important. I
Yes.
think you're saying hard work, determination, perseverance,
Mhm.
learning your skill. I mean, I'm listening to all the things that you said.
Yes.
So I find that alluding to something you said, somebody
Mhm.
might be great at styling hair, but that
Mhm.
does not make them a business person. Or
Right.
someone may be great at tinting windows, but that does not a business person make.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
what are a few things that someone needs to keep in mind if they say, you know what, before they say, I want to go on my own? First,
Mhm.
I say, have a job and work the job until you can no longer afford to work the job. That's what I would say.
Yes.
What would you say as a business owner that they need to keep in mind? And of course, capital can always be an issue. So, any wisdom you want to give to somebody about owning a business?
I would definitely say capital is a big thing because depending on the business you get into, there are businesses you can start up for low cost, but there are some businesses that require a lot. We've grown to the point where we have equipment that like cuts materials for us, things like that. We didn't start that way. We had to get to that point. But
Mhm,
I say take whatever skill you have, learn it to the best of your ability, and go out there and go after it and get you a tax accountant that can handle your paperwork, your things like that, because that's what kills a lot of young businesses is
mhm,
the inability to pay taxes. And the tax man is nobody to play with. They will come after you and they will shut you down. So make sure you have your legal issues in order. Get insurance so that you're covered in case you damage something. Have a
mhm,
tax attorney that on retainer. Things like that are important to running a business. Because,
mhm,
like you say, not everybody is a businessman, but
mhm,
you're good at something. Well, you can
mhm.
be great at something and you can hire somebody to do the business aspect of it and they will work for you and you will be your own boss and the sky's the limit at that point. It's just a matter of how much time and work you want to put into it would dictate where you go with it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're
Okay, so
welcome.
before we wrap up, I want to go back to your defining moment. And you
Mhm.
said, you wanted to be a good father.
Yes, definitely.
And so you work hard, but you're also a good father. And now your son is 32. I can't believe it. You're
Right.
making me feel old because we are the exact same age by a couple of days,
Right.
literally.
Right. Exactly. Don't remind me. My daughter just turned 28 2 days ago.
Yes, I saw that on social media. Yes. I'm
Yes,
like, "Oh my
yes,
gosh,"
yes.
and so, I cover my how your beard looks, I cover mine. So, we're right here. So, I said it's
Wisdom.
gonna be 60 before you see it all.
Right, I know that's right. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
So, when it comes to fatherhood,
Mhm.
as you said, you were a young father, 20, and then you also mentioned being married and things like that. What would
Right.
you say to a young man who is either maybe he already has a child, or maybe a child is on his way, or whatever? What do you want him to know? What give us a few things to tell him about being a father, that might help him.
I would say to that young man, be the example that you want your child to be. That's the most important thing about being a father. At 20
Mhm,
years old, I knew nothing about being a father except for the example that my dad set for me. And, I grew up in a family where family was everything.
mhm,
Your brother was fighting, you were fighting. That's just the way
mhm,
it was. But my dad gave us a lot of tough lessons in life that molded all of us into, I think, good people. But
mhm,
I would tell that young man, be in that child's life and
mhm,
nurture that child's desires and wishes so that he too has a chance in this world, because as a black man in this world, we all know you start a little behind the eight ball,
yes.
and you have to build yourself, and you have to be better than your competition in order to even
Mhm,
get noticed. So
mhm,
if you have that father figure in your life and that father figure is nurturing to you, that goes both ways. It'll not only make that child a strong individual in this world, it'll make that dad a better person, because it made me a better person.
very good. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
All right. Well, before we go, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Final thoughts, man, go out there and get it, because man, the world is your oyster. You have to go out there and chase dreams, and you're never too old to dream. My wife recently went back to college to get her master's degree. Man, I'm her biggest cheerleader. She
Mhm,
goes through times where that school is like kicking her butt, but I'm right there behind her. Hey, you got this. You're gonna just think of the end game. And so
mhm,
many of our classmates have gone back to school, and they're great examples of people that are changing their lives when others think their lives are set in stone. It's never
mhm,
set in stone. Life is
mhm,
fluid. And that would be my last advice to that young man that wants to go out there and start that business and is putting in 70 to 80 hours a week, is don't
mhm,
forget to live life, because that's what
mhm,
it's all about. Go on that trip, get on that boat, go hanging with your children in the woods and teach them things that only you can teach them, and be a part of their lives, and enjoy the ride, because we're only here for a set number of summers, and we have to take advantage of it. We
mhm,
do. And I
mhm,
love that we do. And I've been watching your series, and it warms my heart to see so many brothers out here with positive stories, and
mhm,
you allowing them to share them. A Black History Month, and we're getting out there after it. And I've been watching your stories, and I'm pumped after every one of them. Because it's like, hey, there's another guy out there that I can, he's my role model. Basically, he's
yes,
me. He looks like me, and he shares my experiences. He's gone through this, and he's come out on top. And that's
mhm.
what we need to hear, is more positivity in our community like that.
Well,
So yeah,
thank you.
I'm
Thank you
all
for
for it.
participating. And you mentioned our classmates, so I will reveal that,
Yeah.
we did graduate high school together
Yes.
35 whole years ago. Riverview Gardens class of
Yes.
88, St. Louis,
I'll see
Missouri.
you at that reunion.
That's right. So
Looking
shout out
forward
to
to
all
it.
the Rams out here.
Yes. Batarans, view time. There we go. Shout out.
All right. Thank you, Eric. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Jolene. I appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome.